Hello, everyone. Welcome to TestMu 2024. We are at the last stretch, and I really appreciate all the people who have been with us for past 3 days and nearly 1,000 plus people who are live right now in this session. I really appreciate you guys taking the time out, making this event a really successful event. And I'll finish off. We will finish off the session with one of the best presentations. It's about a topic that something that even I like very much: speed, how to do fast releases without breaking the quality. And nobody can explain that concept better than Priyanka. She is president of quality assurance at HealthEdge. She has more than 15 years of experience, has done a lot of keynote sessions, and in our keynote session as well, she's going to walk us through how big enterprise teams are releasing multiple times a day without compromising with the quality. Now, before we get started, again, last thing I want to highlight that, yeah, these sessions would be recorded and you would be able to see them at our AirMate platform. And at the same time, we'll be uploading them to our YouTube channel. So if you want to go back to any slide, feel free to check out our YouTube. We will be hosting them very soon. There is also a Q&A section at the side of your screens. If you have any questions, feel free to add over there. If time permits, we'll take them. And yeah, there is emojis in the bottom. Do spam those emojis. It's a really great confidence booster. So yeah, Priyanka, the stage is all yours.
Thank you so much, Sparsh. Again, super excited to the closing keynote here. And hi, everyone, whoever is watching me. This is Priyanka Halder. And yeah, the topic is very close to my heart as well. Like, as you see, my first slide, how many of us are hired to build a very sophisticated road to production, right? Which should look like the background image, like we should have lightning speed for our product delivery, right? But the truth is on the right corner, up uh, does it look very familiar to you guys? I think so, right? Like, we are often given a shared environment to test, and we are testing more than we can finish, so it feels like that truck which is getting hit and getting broken going through that tunnel, right? So I couldn't start this topic better than these two images, right, and set the stage there. So welcome again. A little bit intro about me. Actually, I'm going to be 19 years this September 6th. I did not change the experience from the day one. I usually copy paste my intro from one talk to other. Have done more than almost 25 talks so far this year, doing couple of keynotes. Again, I'm known for very large scale automation transformation. I was fortunate to build some of the most sophisticated teams who did excellent at GoodRx, at TrueCar, and then now I work for a company called HealthEdge. We are pretty big in US and in India, and I have plenty of opening in my team. Right now, my team is 82 people strong, and I have almost 10 plus opening in India and couple of opening in US as well. So I have added a QR code here, so feel free to scan it and apply for those. So in India, Bangalore location, we have a QA manager and a senior estate opening, and not a senior estate, couple of senior estate openings. So feel free to apply there. Also, one thing that I want to tell is, like, today I have four things to share with you, right? Like, if you are watching my talk, doesn't matter on YouTube or live, I want you to walk away with four things. I'm pretty sure, like, when you watched various talk in TestMu, you are overwhelmed with how many tools are out there, how many time you can implement automation, like what is the most shiniest tool, what is the most shiniest feature you can go out and deploy there. But unfortunately, the truth is it doesn't work if you don't know how to implement it, right, at a large scale company. So I want you to I want to discuss with you, like, how to think about quality for a large scale transformation. So we're going to spend first couple of minutes in that topic. Then I'm going to talk about four quadrant of known unknown. It's a very interesting way of shaping your information when you are trying to do this transformation. Then we're going to talk about, like, how you should do the tech maturity assessment. And then lastly, I'm going to walk you through a framework that actually gonna give you the knowledge, like how whatever you learned during these 3 days in TestMu, you're gonna implement it using this framework. And I can guarantee you almost that you're gonna be able to do a full large scale transformation at the end of that framework usage, right? So thinking about quality for large scale automation transformation, right? So lot of time, like in our earlier career stage, we think quality means I'm going to join a team, a product, there is requirement, I'm going to write down some test cases, and I'm done, right? No, it doesn't happen. Like as you grow up, you have to think about quality. Like it's no longer a quality assurance, right? It's a quality engineering, and you have to think beyond, like out of the box, to make sure not only you but your full organization understand what exactly quality stands for, right? So actually let's ask this question, like what does it take to automate at scale, right? So quality engineering basically is impact mitigation. So why people hire you or why people want to be in their company, they don't want a large impact, a production impact that is hindering their product, right? So what is exactly impact mitigation? So you can think about impact mitigation in couple of phases, right? Prevention, detection, remediation. There is penetration testing and architectural measures as well, right? So again, like quality is not just making sure, okay, requirement is working, I'm writing some test cases, automating using whatever the tool I love that time. It about understanding what are our prevention measures, what are our detection measures, what are our remediation measures, can we roll back, can we roll forward, can we do incident management properly, right? How is our architecture? So let's dig through all of this little bit more in detail. So like when, again, when before starting your large scale transformation, before even implementing speed, you have to understand this core concept for prevention, right? Branch, prospect, and release, right? So like what exactly you're branching, are you doing trunk based, are you doing release branching, what is your like mobile code analysis, do you have enough unit testing? So again, like a lot of time when I see some companies, they say, oh, we have good unit testing. What does good means? Like, do you have SonarQube? Do you maintain 80% of unit testing? Does those unit testing actually make sense, or they are just fake tests just to reach to that 80%? What is your production code review? Like, how do you practice secure coding? So all this is very important. You have to jot down and understand this prevention mechanism, what it's there present currently, right? Then there is detection and validation. Again, like what do you do for end-to-end testing? Is it super manual heavy? Is it inspection? Do you do performance testing? Next is monitoring, right? Like I can't emphasize enough how important synthetic monitoring is. Speed is good. Like sometimes we are not given enough time to do all like very rigorous testing. So we usually tend to do lot of risk-based testing, right? But synthetic monitoring is a tool that gonna be your best friend, and I have implemented it at Oscar, my last company, and we were super successful there. Why? Like again, when you have application performance monitoring or other kind of monitoring where you are looking at API response 500 or 400, it has to reach a threshold, right? Like at least you create those threshold. Like if I am seeing more than 1500s, then alert me. But synthetic monitoring, if you are running your test, which is very customer like, and if that fails in a certain point, it's gonna immediately tell you, hey, login is not working. Even in a single failure, it's gonna tell you. And by that, you can detect the problems before it becomes an incident. And we have seen like zero incident for 8 months over month at Oscar after we implemented the synthetic monitoring there. So I said, like, if you have a detection monitoring strategy, absolute necessary you invest time in a synthetic monitoring. Then there is a whole security side. Like, we put lot of emphasis in healthcare for security. If you are in healthcare, if you are in banking, if you deal with sensitive data, you have to make sure you have a strategy for penetration testing, being it exploiter testing, being it disaster recovery, being it probe injection. Like, you have to make sure you have a whole quota under the quality engineering that you will be attacking under penetration, right? then there are quite a few security measures, right? Like security scanning, you can scan for even vulnerability, where you can see anything open source you are using have any vulnerability in it or not, and how you should be patching them, how frequently you will be doing them. Very important you take part in that. Next, some architectural strategy, right? Like what is your high availability strategy? Like do you have like redundant systems, so load balancing, or even failover mechanism? So like if something really goes wrong with a production upgrade, like can you readily roll forward? Do you use feature flagging? Again, another best friend for testers. If you don't know about it, learn about it. Encourage your engineering to make sure they are implementing feature flagging for you. So it's more like you test in a controlled manner under feature flagging, and then you move forward and open it up to everyone when you're sure that yes, it's working on production, right? Lot of shift right strategy. And then the last bucket is remediation, where like you need to know, like under quality, what is your roll forward, what is your rollback, and what is incident management strategy. So again, going back to my last few slides, if you are beginning of a big large automation transformation, you want speed, you want quality, and you want to have that quality for months, not like, oh, I did it but it falls apart after a few days. You need to make sure you're studying all this bucket and you are jotting down what exactly you're going to be attacking, right? Let's talk about some metrics now that we talked about like what exactly quality engineering is today, right? So 92% of all customers struggles with automation transformation. You will be amazed to know like how big companies have big manual testing team. Even like the biggest maybe dating app, or maybe video applications, e-commerce, they might say, oh, we don't believe in QA, but like either they are outsourcing it, or they have an offshore team who is doing the heavy release testing manually without any automation tool, or they just have not invested or figured out like what is the most optimum way of doing it, right? And that's my experience as well in the industry, talking to my friend, talking to like various people from there. Again, up to 50% of Fortune 500 companies rely on heavily manual testing, right? They have just not figured out like what are the tool out there, how to invest in such a way that it's a large scale transformation. And 80% of major incident happen because of failure to detect by automation, right? So they might have some sort of automation, I call them vanity automation. Like they might have a large automation team, but end of the day, if you dig deep, it doesn't work. God knows what those automations are doing. So like how to make sure like what it will take. Again, going back to the same question, what exactly does it take to automate at scale? And my next topic is I'm gonna inspire you with this framework, right? Like automation, like how to become a automation transformation expert. Have you guys heard about this four quadrant of known knowns, known unknowns, unknown knowns, and unknown unknowns, right? How to think about it. So again, when you are beginning of automation transformation, you have certain things that you already know, certain factors you already know. You know that okay, you are inheriting a team which has very strong automation expert, or maybe very strong manual team. You know that your company uses a lot of tooling that you can readily use it, or actually higher up believes in investing in tools. So those will come under known bucket, right? Known unknown, this is the bucket where like some factors exist but you have no clue about it. For example, let's say you did not attend TestMu and you have no clue what the shiniest, most AI powered tool is that can be very valuable for you, right? That will go under like it exists but it's unknown to you. Then unknown knowns, this is the bucket where which makes you leader, right? Like this is the bucket where you know something so good that you have forgotten about it. Maybe you are so good at strategizing a large scale transformation, or maybe you are so good at automating using playwright, right? Like this is your skill and it comes very naturally to you, or you are very natural to grow a team of automation engineer, and you can do that really well. And then the last bucket is unknown, which is like again you have no clue about this whole section, like if it even exists, completely unknown. A good example will be maybe your company is investing in couple of different countries and you have no clue that there is some kind of compliance requires, some kind of localization requirement, and like your goal will be to figuring out that unknown unknown and moving them to known unknown. The first thing, to before starting your transformation, you have to at least figure out what comes under this unknown unknown and move them to known unknown bucket, right? So again, I have given some kind of example here. So if you look at the known bucket for transformation, rapidly scaling infrastructure, diversifying testing environment, automating workflows, and maximizing test coverage. These are very known strategy that you should be knowing when you are doing, right? Unknown known, as the user grows from thousands to million, you just don't know. You might be able to predict and do some kind of load testing, but this is something like, okay, maybe it's coming in next 1 year, but you still don't have any strategy about it, right? As the new feature are rapidly deployed, you just do not predict how complex your system will be, that you have to support using your current framework. So again, it's a known fact. You know that, okay, my roadmap for 2025 look like I'm gonna add 100 vessels and whistles and bells to my product, but I have no clue like how I'm gonna solve this, maybe with my current implementation, which might be Cypress or whatever you are using, right? um, Again, known unknown here, like focus on the fundamentals. Again, you might know that you can prototype really good, foster a growth mindset, embrace frequent deliberate practice, seek immediate feedback. Like these are, you are really good at. So you already know this, you already practice this, you have forgotten about this strategies, right? And then unknown unknown, that I already told you. Like again, decentralized quality ownership. You might not know any tool using AI where you can do decentralize the quality ownership. You might not know the shiniest tool out there. You might not know how to implement the intelligent monitoring. So your goal will be whatever in this bucket. You first move them to known unknown, and then you become like known about it, or unknown about it, right? Like become natural about that. That will be your goal. So to move like unknown to known unknown, what you have to do, I can give you a framework that I have used for starting from GoodRx, is a tech maturity model, right? Like so Ticketmaster is the company who developed it, and they developed it so beautifully. So whenever you join a company, what you are supposed to do, you have to go through this framework, and you have to jot down exactly where different practices are. So if I talk about four different dimension: technology, process, people, and culture, you just gonna benchmark like what the practices look like under each of this section, right? And then you will be able to move the unknown unknown to the known unknown, and then you will be again implementing another framework that I'm going to show you down the lane, and you will be um, able to really attack like what exactly is needed to do the large scale transformation, right? So again, like the assessment criteria, there is like technological assessment, there is process maturity, and then there is like path to maturity. So first is awareness. You need to be aware of like what exactly are the practices that goes on. Then you have to adopt it. Next stage is adoption. So you're going to move your company from awareness to adoption. The next stage will be optimization. You're going to start optimizing whatever you have there, and then you will be to the next level, which is transformation. And the last most mature would be leadership, right? Like you are champion of that maturity model, and you will be able to share the knowledge across organization. So I have added a real example how we did. Sorry, it's not visible very nicely on the right side, but what it says is that we actually have written down like various different attributes. Let it be end-to-end test, component test, and where exactly our maturity is. We have given a number for particular steps here, right? And we want to make sure we publish this clear maturity matrix to our vertical, right? New vertical, and then include them in our strategy, like how we will be attacking. So if anything is in red, and how we will move them to the green one here, right? So again, quick recap what we learned so far. We learned how we will be thinking about quality in a bigger picture. Quality is not only about requirement and matching requirement with input and output. We talked about the four quadrant of known unknown, and we went through with couple of different examples exactly how you will motivate your learning framework. Then we talked about an actual framework that is published by Ticketmaster, and I have a QR code at the end which you can scan to actually go into their maturity model and figure out all the different section they have mentioned there. So if you are looking to do a large scale transformation, I highly suggest that you do that. So let's talk about the next principle that I want to share with you, and that is like the ultra learning principle by Scott Young. So this guy has come up with a really cool framework, and you can apply it to anything. I happen to apply it to quality engineering. So again, I'm gonna walk you through how you can apply this framework to a large scale transformation for higher speed and consistency. The main core idea behind it is leverage the ultra learning mindset, master the fundamental concept, experiment and iterate, because there is no perfection as such. So you have to always experiment with it and learn it continuously, right? Then cultivate deliberate practice. So these are the core principle about it. But the actual nine ultra learning principle is: start with a roadmap, focus, don't do too many things at a time, direction, go straight into application, drill, attack your weakest point, retrieval, self testing, like make sure that whatever you implemented, is it working or not, and be brutal about it, right? Like sometimes things just doesn't work. Don't just pursue it for too long, that like, okay, I know that framework is not working, but because I have invested in there, I cannot go back. So change often if it is required, right? Then get feedback, retention, like stop the leakage, intuition, dig deep, and then build up and experiment. So how can we, so you can actually apply this ultra learning principle to anything you do in your life. Now I'm going to show you like how exactly we can apply it to quality engineering. So let's talk about the roadmap. So establishing a roadmap is very important when you are starting, right? Like you will be doing those framework to like to do the maturity model process, and which maturity is your company in right now. But ultimately what your higher ups are looking is a roadmap, a sustainable roadmap, right? You need to identify the strategy, you have to identify the transformation framework, and then evaluate relevant tools around it. So you need to show this story, paint this picture, right? About roadmaps. So spend significant time building that first. Before you, even if you can build, you have to architect a good roadmap, and then only you can execute it, right? So here again, example roadmap I have given. At GoodRx we used to do OKR. So this is a very real example that I did in 2029, and you will see like we are attacking quite a few layers. But I had a very large kind of team, one team attacking one layer of the problem. But this is a quite a clear roadmap, like what is our objective, what is our uh, key indicator, that KPIs that we are performing, and what exactly we are trying to achieve in that quarter, right? So again, if you want to talk to me about like how to do roadmap, I'm available at LinkedIn. Feel free to ping me and I can talk at length how to do road mapping. Next one is focus, right? So you have to make sure that you are not starting with too many things at a time. So attack one problem, avoid multitasking, right? So if you see that, okay, maybe you joined a company who has nothing when it comes to automation and you need to do the whole transformation, maybe start with unit testing, right? If they don't have unit testing practices and they just say that it's good, encourage them to adopt something like SonarQube. Make sure that they have 80%. If they have code smell, or if they have not have enough unit testing, you can even introduce them lot of AI power tool. And I can suggest few, like we just readily comes available in the market. You implement it, it just reads your code and it's at the unit test. Even you can use Copilot or Chat GPT as well. I don't think they are that efficient, but I feel like the out of the box who are specific for unit testing, those are better too. Next one is directness. So again, incorporate test framework into your ongoing project. Minimize theoretical learning. Lot of time I see the teams are doing just POCs. So I joined a company long back. There was this automation engineer, and what he did was POC on unit testing, POC on integration testing, POC on end-to-end testing. There was nothing on the large scale. Like POCs does not help you. So you have to go straight, like attack one line on the test pyramid, and like implement in large scale. Like it doesn't matter what you POC. Yeah, POC is the first step to do the transformation, but you have to implement in it in a large scale, so that like your it's not just POC. It is something consumable by your developer. They're using it in the pipeline, and they're actually making a use out of it. The next one is drill. Attack your weakest point. So again, you have to be brutally honest where you lack, right? Maybe you lack on automation engineers in your team. You lack on showing metrics like how testing is improving you. Maybe you lack identify like low code coverage. You don't have much enough in unit or integration test. You have unreliable test cases. Again, like want to bring up a story behind like from my past. Large company, lot of team, almost 30 plus team. What they use is Excel sheet for test case management, right? And they are all interconnected verticals, so one cannot work without other. And when they keep the test cases in Excel sheet, the versioning is a nightmare. God knows what is the current test cases, and they cannot even do like integration test between one or the other component, right? So the first thing I did was like attacking on a test case management system and standardizing and bringing a governance there, that okay, you have to have a tool which tell you which is the latest version of test cases. So if I want to go to vertical 1, vertical 2, like I should not be running around people to figure out like how to do that. The next one is retrieval. Use self testing to learn. Again, like regularly test your knowledge and skill, and like using code reviews and peer assessment is one of the good way of doing like where you stand. But another way of is like attend conferences like this, go out, read blogs. Medium is again one of my favorites, which I often go on to and see like what are the other big companies like Uber and Lyft and Netflix, all who are doing that. So you have to regularly test where do you stand with your knowledge compared to the industry. Read Garner reports, right? And then only you will know that whatever implementation you have done, is it good enough, or there is an opportunity to improve or not, right? The next one is feedback. Again, like this is something I want to really share that at Oscar, with help of my team, we were able to build an awesome dashboard, which shows like what were different kind of tests we were running. I think we had it at GoodRx as well using Datadog. So it's you have to constantly seek feedback even from your transformative automation infrastructure as well, right? Like you have to constantly seek like what is the percentage of test coverage, because it changes every day when you have a large enterprise team. Like what is the stability looks like, is the stability attached to your environment, and maybe certain times the environment is so flaky that your tests start failing as well. So creating those dashboard and being very close to it gonna definitely fetch you a lot of value. The next one is retention. Again, knowledge retention, I already talked about the story. So again, very very important, you do not build tribal knowledge, and you come up with a strategy that you don't have single point of failure, and you have a sustainable way of retaining strategies. Again, testing is a very hot skill, especially SDEs, right? You do not want to implement a whole transformation where you are dependent on one person. If they leaves, the whole transformation falls apart, right? So you want to make sure your strategy is such a way that you have a knowledge retention strategy where you have redundancy, like one developer knows the work about other developers, they will be readily available to pick up the work, or you are using a tool which does not have too much maintenance or scalability issue. For example, TestIM, TestSigma, test rigor, and you're going with them, and you're making sure that you have a strategy where your transformation will not fall apart. The last one is intuition. Again, dig deep and then build up, right? Like you have to make sure all this what I have mentioned here, like foundational concept, industry standard, automation principle, data driven insight, defect management, continuous improvement, like you are developing your intuition in all this section so that you are top of your industry when you're doing the transformation. The last but not the least is experimentation. And again, it's not new. You have must have heard it in numerous talk that you have to challenge the status quo. You have to gather the feedback. You have to celebrate the success and learn from your failure. So, like, experiment beyond your comfort zone, right? Push yourself to go to the next level. So, what next I'm gonna ask you is, this is a case study template. Pick up any case study, right? Like go dig deep in Medium, in other forums, and figure out like how did they do their transformation. There is even a very great GitHub page where like all big companies have shared what they do, how they do, right, for test automation. I challenge you that you fill out this template, and end of the day, the more you can fill it out for different customers, you will be able to learn that how they are doing the large scale transformation, right? Okay, that was it. And my last slide is, if you want to hear about more technical, like what exactly the framework I used, how did I challenged data center that was moved, there is a talk on YouTube. You can go and you can hear it out. It talks about A/B testing, how did we automate it, some mobile testing, how did we conquer the mobile automation. Please free to hear that talk. And then on the right side, I have my LinkedIn profile. Do send me a request. I would love to get connect with you and get feedback how I did in my talk, how I can improve when I share information with you guys. And that's it. Any questions? Sparsh, you there?
Sorry, took me some time to get on stage. Thank you for the insight, Priyanka. We are unfortunately at the time, but I was scrolling through the questions, and your 30 minutes were so comprehensive. I feel that most of these questions are already answered. Like this was, I will say, 19 years of expertise condensed down into crash course. I will say of 30 minutes. So much insight, so many good things. I think me and along with me other 1,000 people who are on live right now are going to get out of this. So first of all, thank you for the wonderful session and taking the time out to walk us through your 9 principles. Those were really amazing. People, if you do want to connect and you feel you have a question that Priyanka can help out, do reach out to her as over the LinkedIn. She'll be happy to help. Uh, Also, if you want to revisit the session, as I said earlier, this would be live on our YouTube channel as well. I think it will be there by Monday or Tuesday, so do check it out. Otherwise, our image session would be open, so you can definitely come and check over here. With that said, I think we are at time, so we'll be taking goodbye. There is a closing note from our side, which is going to start in just a few minutes. But in the meantime, feel free to check out rest of the sessions. Again, Priyanka, thank you for taking the time out and walking us through your insights.
Thank you so much.
All right, everyone. Bye bye. Happy testing.